everybody, and welcome to Plaid Stallions Toy Ventures. I am Brian, your host, and this week I am in downtown Toronto, actually just walking distance from Degrassi Street, if you're familiar. This building is the former home of Reliable Toy Company, which was one of Canada's biggest post-war toy manufacturers. That fact will actually come into play a little later, but what I'm here to do is cover Fourth Moon Toys, a new collectible shop in Toronto devoted purely to Star Wars items. The store's owner, Mike, reached out to me a couple of months ago and invited me to come check it out. Now, I'm more of what you would call a Star Wars adjacent collector, although I do love looking at vintage toys, but I wanted to wait until my Star Wars collecting son was in town so we could both go and experience the shop. What we discovered was a real treasure trove and just a nostalgia overload for my brain. I'm going to give you a bit of a montage right now of some of the things in the shop, and then I'm going to talk about some of the more interesting pieces and stories I picked up, and I actually bought something. So let's dig in, shall we, to Fourth Moon Toys. So it goes without saying that this is a very well laid out, clean store full of incredible eye candy. When I see bilingual Star Wars packaging, that's childhood to me, and I'm not immune. There were some incredible pieces of Irwin toy / Kenner Canada history on these four walls. And wow, you want to become a Star Wars collector. Mike, the owner, was gracious enough to show me some of his own collection in his office, including his carded Chewbaccas and some really incredible pieces I'll showcase here while I'm talking. Mike had a really great philosophy for not only the store, but for collecting in general. I found a lot of what he was saying refreshing and totally relatable. So let's talk about my 5 favorite things I encountered at Fourth Moon Toys. Number 5, kids' scrapbooks. One of the things I got to do at the shop was visit the back room where they process stuff or auction it, and they go through collections. And one of the most amazing things about childhood collections is coming across a scrapbook of clippings and news articles about Star Wars. We all did this kind of stuff. And Mike had this wonderful photo album loaded with the Star Wars comic strip. That's a strip I was really a big fan of as a kid, and I haven't really thought of much since then, so I was just really blown away by this. And by the way, I have a scrapbook just like this filled with the Star Trek The Motion Picture comic strip. Number 4, Rebel Mission to Ord Mantel. I had this record, actually I had the tape version of it, as a kid, and I just thought it was possibly one of the best Star Wars products I ever owned. It was a good story that I listened to multiple times, and it's even mentioned in Empire Strikes Back, so I'm a big fan of this, and I would love to see this played out, even in an animated form. Number 3, Plush Chewbacca. This was produced by a company called Regal Toys, who did a series of Star Wars plush that I live in Canada, and I've never run into these at a flea market or a thrift store. They're always behind the counter in some shop where they don't want to sell them. They're tough to find in general, and these are believed to be store displays. I guess made to draw attention to the plush at retail. These are extremely rare, and wow, what a piece of Canadian Star Wars history. Number 2, the cardboard Death Star. This is also known as the Palitoy Death Star. It's a cardboard creation by their engineers, and we carried it in Canada as well. We had both Death Stars to choose from. And while I went with the standard Kenner as a kid, I always thought this was kind of superior in some regards. I owned one of these back in the mid-90s, and I really thought it was a great playset. I'd love to own one again, but I doubt I have the room or the money to pick one up these days. This was boxed, which was just insane to see. And finally, my number 1 favorite thing was this bootleg R2-D2 bank. And the reason behind it is it was made by Reliable Toy. It was made in the building that we were standing in, and I thought that was a fantastic piece of history and ties into the store. But moreover, Mike explained that Reliable also made the Cryotron Sears exclusive action figure case sold in Canada. This is a giant spaceship that looks like a birth control dispenser that is only available here and is, well, it's kind of an infamous collectible in some regard. And finally, what did I pick up? The answer will surprise you. My son made out like a bandit in this store, picking up a ton of clone characters that he enjoys. But I really didn't have any expectations of coming home with a Star Wars toy, let alone a new Star Wars toy, but I must have missed a meeting when I found this stretch Boba Fett. I think my nostalgia for Kenner's stretch line, especially after doing issue 12 of Toy Ventures, is very heightened. And to see a stretch Boba Fett with the vintage Kenner stretch logo, yeah, I had it in my hands before I knew what I was doing. I would have totally bought one of these as a kid. It makes no sense, but there are other characters in the series, but I think this guy is going to be my one and done. Just well done. All nostalgia buttons pushed. So that is my look at Fourth Moon Toys in Toronto. I want to thank Mike, the owner, for this amazing tour, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I also want to mention that Fourth Moon puts on a fantastic Star Wars convention every year. I was unable to make it this year, and I truly regretted that because I did cover it the year prior, and I'll put a link to the video there. But it's a fantastic event that is very collector-focused. It's all about the toys and making the toy makers are the celebrities, and that's something I really like seeing more and more at toy shows. So before I go, I want to ask you a question. If money was no object, what is the one Star Wars item you would grab from Fourth Moon Toys? You can let me know in the comments below or hit me up in my Facebook group, Pod Stallions. That's it for me this week, and I just want to remind everybody that I will be appearing at Mego Meet ZoloCon in Warminster, Pennsylvania next Saturday and Sunday. If you are there, please stop by and say hi. I'd love to chat with you. Till next time, may the Force be with you, and talk toys, not other people. Cheers.